All right, Cater Prosperity, happy Monday the 13th. I'm here for our Mortgage Mondays with John and Shiny today. And we have our ALC member and broker Ron Aosa with us today. So thank you guys for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having us.
We're also streaming on Facebook and our Rockstar page. So John or Shiny, do one of you guys want to kind of start us off? Let us know, how are you guys doing? What's new with you guys?
John, we can't hear you. We got to unmute you.
There we go, John. I just unmuted you.
Oh, okay. You got me?
Yep, I got you.
All right, let me try this too. I want to put my headset in. Shiny, why don't you take it while I put my headset in real quick? I'm going old school here. Look.
Yeah, I mean, trying to do the same thing. It's hard doing the same thing, staying away from people, but trying to, stay on track, do the same things, keep the routine going. That's what's been hard. It's been difficult. You wake up in the morning and you want to keep a routine going. It's not as easy as you'd think it is. And I think having a routine helps a lot. Just, staying on track.
Exactly. Good point. And can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just Shiny to that point is, what are some of the things that you're doing to keep yourself in a routine? I know you have a little one at home, but what are some of the things that make Shiny feel like she's being purposeful in her business and also in life?
Yeah, I try. So my morning starts obviously with the kids and all that, but I try to make sure I'm at my desk at least before 9 o'clock. So so I can catch up on things and get ready and figure out what I'm going to do for the day. There's few times when you have to step away, but still, at least that helps me keep myself on track and know what I need to do for the day. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we haven't heard from Shiny, so it's really great to see her on this call today. So go ahead, John.
Oh, today I'm trying to stay warm. I mean, yesterday was a nice day. I feel like today temperature-wise, I think it's warm, like 60-something degrees, but it feels like it's 30 outside. I don't know what's going on. So hence I have this, pull-up on my hat, whatever.
Well, what's the temperature in the mortgage world, as we're talking about temperature?
Oh, nice segue, Matt. You're getting good at these.
That's great at it.
So here's the temperature. It is extremely hot, and it's like living in Arizona, hot during the day and frigid at night, okay? Because that's how the desert gets, right? We have seen spikes, we have seen peaks and valleys, and some changes that, again, we've talked about week over week here. The most recent change is yet now another one of our big bank lenders has put their stake in the ground. And when the big banks do this, typically things follow. So what they have said is now that they're not going to lend with anything less than 20% down. This is on new purchase money, 20% down with credit scores of 700. Okay, that's game changing. And I don't know how it ripples down, but I'm certain it will ripple down. And this is, we've talked in, again, previous conversations, we've had the likes of Wells Fargo, B of A, Chase, all respectful, relevant leaders. And this most recent one comes from one of those three big boys. So we're just going to have to see what that means for us. In the meantime, we do what we can and control what we can control, right?
Hey, Ronnie, I know you must be experiencing, because you have such an enormous amount of units that you typically do. So to gauge what's going on in the world of buyer seller with this kind of news, what are you seeing?
Inventory is down incredibly. So are buyers, right? I mean, there's just too much uncertainty. So you're not going to have as many buyers that are out there in the market looking for housing the way we saw just 30 days ago, and that's just a reality. And anybody who says something otherwise, is building a false narrative, which I really don't like. Let's just be truth, right? So everybody knows that your numbers are down. The hope and the prayer is that that's all going to get turned around the second this thing comes back. And there's going to be a lag there. I guess we hope that we get put back to work fully within 30 to 60 days, which means you're probably 60 to 90 days from being back on track, right? So we're 4 to 6 months away from clicking on all cylinders yet again.
Makes sense.
So, John, would that mean like basically you're talking about just 20% down, conventional 700 credit score is ideally the borrower that we're looking for right now?
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry, my head, something's going on with my equipment here in my head. Can you hear me okay? Still?
You're fine.
All right, so listen, the statement I just made about 700 FICO, 20% down is cream puff, right? Gee, we wish everybody had 700 FICOs and 20% down. That doesn't mean that we're all changing to that tomorrow, but it's a statement. It is really something that, for me, makes sense of it in one way, and really one way only, is that's how the capacity of things is going to be controlled, right? So you don't want to say no to any business, but if you are, in a sense, because you're now shrinking the box that you can lend in, well, you're kind of accomplishing that anyway. Listen, first-time home buyer programs, they're not going anywhere. Minimum down types of buying opportunities aren't going anywhere. But we also know that even in the FHA playing field, we know what happened there, right? We talked about that. We were as a group collectively 3 weeks ago, you can lend at a 620 FICO score, and then they bumped it up. They meaning Ginnie Mae, FHA, those government agencies bumped it up to 640, and then 640 turned into 680. So this is what's happening. It's ever changing. It moves at that fast pace. And so all we can do is make sure on our side as a lender, when we talk to people, is prepare them to say, all right, all the more reason, let's get your documents in place. Let's get you in a position where we can hopefully underwrite you today, knowing what we have, versus holding off and then finding out that you don't qualify anymore, right?
Has anything interesting this week happened with appraisals and people that are under contract? Because it sounds like that's what you're talking about for new clientele, as to who's going to get a rate lock. But who's in contract now that has a story about under contract, appraisal, challenges, successes?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're asking just a general concession here, right? So the challenges with appraisals are, I think they've pretty much been addressed. You can't go into a home if, number one, the seller doesn't want you in there, and you can't go into a home if the agencies of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac say you can't go into a home. Ronnie and I were talking about this just.
Oh, we can't hear you, John.
We lost the audio, cut out.
Hey, John.
John, we lost you, buddy. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now
We can.
Oh my gosh, what is going on?
It's okay.
I miss
So
face-to-face. I miss face-to-face.
We all do.
We all
Closest
You
we're
said
gonna
Ronnie
get.
and you were talking.
Unbelievable. Okay, so the state of Pennsylvania has made a drastic move. And Ronnie, I shared with you that announcement, right? So they are not conducting business at all. You're not writing new contracts, right? And that has all right, so we all know that. We understand that. There's the market effects right now for me. What I see is there's lenders that aren't doing products that they were doing a week or 2 weeks ago. And I just got off the phone not more than, honestly, 10 minutes before this call. A guy was doing a 203K loan with another lender, and they're not doing them anymore. And now he's calling me because I'm going to help him out. And part of me is like, okay, great, but keep my fingers crossed, because I don't know how long before something else might change in my world, right? We're all susceptible to it. I'd like to think, again, selfless plug, being with a bank and having money, you have some latitude and you have some say in it, which we do as a portfolio lender. However, when the bigger players in this industry make changes and the agencies make changes, you have to follow suit with that. You have no choice. Appraisals, back to your original question, Mary Beth, appraisals are are limited at a lot of times based on what the seller wants to do and even what the buyer wants to do, right? So we have a place today where there's appraisal waivers and we don't need to go into most homes, most transactions. 20% downs, those are easy ones. But again, I don't know when the next shoe drops and how that affects, to the point of my sharing with you when we opened about the big bank 700 FICO score, 20% down, new box that they're going to be lending in. So, got to kind of
So
go.
it came up on one of our calls with our ALC that we had two specific stories that the appraisals were coming in 40 and 50,000 under value, which was causing a challenge because they were doing drive-by,
Yeah.
which now Pat Lowe, I see her on, but I know she's in an inspection. She was talking about how they really can't see your functionally obsolete, houses.
Right.
And so that was the values were coming in really, off. So I was wondering if you were seeing any of, on the negative side, if you were seeing any of that as well.
Yeah, Shiny, I haven't, right?
No.
I haven't seen anything, knock on wood, knock
Yeah.
on wood. I haven't seen anything that,
Yeah, same here. I haven't seen any. I mean, the challenge has been more on the refi side where we've had like cash out. Now we need to do a full appraisal. I had someone who wanted to switch from a no cash out to a cash out, and we now need to do a full appraisal. So there goes the property inspection waiver. So those are the challenges, but I'm not seeing anything as far as value goes.
Okay.
Not yet.
although to that point, we haven't done a new contract appraisal request. Have you? I haven't done one last week.
I did one oh no, I didn't do one. I have a new contract in, but I haven't ordered. We haven't ordered the
So
appraisal
we're just
yet.
on the cusp of this.
Yeah.
Nothing comes to my mind that I would say is a recent purchase order that would require that interior inspection. So.
Yeah. So, a great word. I was on the call this morning with the director of Bold, Pat Mancuso, and I'm just going to adopt his word because I love it. It's fluid. To your point is the business is so fluid right now. Everything can change at any minute. We all have to be we have to be adaptable. We have to be flexible. We have to be willing to get creative on a whim. And I think that stands for your business as well. We're all just here to help our customers get what they ultimately want and being a resource. Have you slowed down in new applications?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's been a slowdown the past 2-3 weeks. It's slowed down considerably. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the nature of the beast. And when rates move as quickly as they've moved, well, that's it. That sets the tone. So we've only experienced, listen, we go through this over and over again. I replay over and over again the moments of, which we talked about again on other calls, but 2001, 2008, 2012 with Sandy, and here we are 2020. There's a common thread that runs throughout, and it is no one really ever knows. And you have people who consider themselves experts to say, this is what's going to happen and that's going to happen. And that's good for television. It's good for social media today because it keeps people glued to a little shred of hope, and information is power. And so everyone kind of, latches on to whatever they can best. The theme is, remember it like it was yesterday, and we talked about it before. Who knows? Just keep yourself and your family tight and close and do what you have to do to be relevant and talk productively and optimistically with those who have the same sphere of influence that you believe you have. And that's about all you can do. Be willing to try things and reinvent yourself. But certainly this is the time we're in, and rates are so volatile that I've seen changes of 0.25% swing as much in one day to 0.75% swing. So if you are out there and someone's listening and you want to make recommendations to family and friends about refinancing, take a bird in the hand. Best rate you got that day, someone quote you, lock it. You have a purchase, best scenario you can put in front of you, don't mess around with it. Just take it and move it through. Because if you think rates are going to drop like a stone, I don't believe that's a prudent way to handle your finances right now. So.
John and Shiny, I have a question for one of you coming in from Pat Lowe. She asks, with the guidelines changing so quickly, at what point are you okay? After underwriting? Are they pulling commitments? At what point?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Shiny, good. Why don't you take that?
I think with guidelines changing, as long as you're underwritten or you're in the pipeline and you're locked, you're good.
Right.
At that point. Yeah.
That's about right. That's about as safe as we can say right now. So I know as Shani's sharing that, she's probably like, oh boy, I hope that's the right thing to say. That is the right thing to say. That's what I would say. But truth is, do we know until somebody drops, a change, a revision on us? To me, nothing is done until it's done now. You can't count on anything being, locked, clad down. You're not, your loans aren't going to close like our loans aren't going to close until they're signed and delivered. So
I also think.
What's that?
I also think that, underwriting is one thing, and then you're going to have an appraisal, and something could change with the appraisal at that point. Right. So it's just a multi-step process where anything could change along the way, but the first step is trying to get everything in and trying to get the ball rolling as quickly as possible.
I have a question. I have somebody in our extended family that had a job. She went furlough, and she was supposed to be closing in 2 weeks in Florida.
Yeah.
And so, right now she's at a point where she's just looking to take any kind of job so that, and there, I know FedEx is hiring, so that she can lock in employment so that she can borrow. Is that something you would, for people that are in that situation, does that work?
Well, first thing I think of is you just answered your own question about is everything, all these changes, how it affects things, right? So you just threw a great example. So even if you had the loan underwritten, had the loan approved, everything looks good, the appraisal's good, now you have someone who got furloughed. And, it is common. We've got our share of people in that exact same situation. The challenge becomes, so when you now say, what did your friend do for a living? They were, they
paralegal.
Were a paralegal. Okay, paralegal in that industry. Now they're going to go work for FedEx.
Right.
It's not the same industry. She's going to load it. She's going to load a truck. Okay, she's going to drive a truck. That's great. It's a job, but it's not in the same industry. And when you send an employment verification to FedEx, is FedEx going to say the probability of income continuing is very good or not at all? That's another one, right? So it's good to have a job, but I don't think in your example, that person who just runs back out and gets another job is safe until the verification comes back, until it gets through underwriting, and then until obviously it closes. So, but you have to try.
And
obviously,
so if she tries that, just hypothetically, how long would she have to work in that new job in a new field in order for it to count towards employment?
Well, again, that if it's a different field, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, this is for everybody because I knew that answer, and I'm just want to hear from you.
I think what's more, I don't know. Again, that's if you're not in the same field, you're not in the same field, and I think even that you can make a case and you could kind of build around certain situations. Maybe this person has reserves. Maybe this person has got 30 or 40% down. I don't know what the case really is, but sometimes you could build in and around those other compensating factors. But if the employment verification comes back and it doesn't lend itself to 100% probability of continued employment, then that's what you're left with. Because take out the pandemic circumstance. If someone wants to leave their job and go start and do something else, you could do that. You can go from a W-2'd employee person to another W-2'd employee person. And you can even make that change in a different type of industry. We can make a case for that. The challenge is we know reality-wise of why they're making the change. And we know probably it's not a career change for the better. It's not a pay increase, right? Her income as a paralegal is probably more than it, right? So that doesn't add up either.
Yeah. No, and I mean, this is a question for what I think a lot of people in our middle class are going to be dealing with as well, that are looking to get into their first time homes. If they are furloughed, they might have these kind of questions as to, well, when am I going to be able to start this process again? But what I think you just proved to us here is that they need to be talking to you. They need to be talking to somebody like yourselves, so they have the right answers for their right situation. If somebody's got 50% to put down, you know, I'm sure there's a whole different world that opens up to them than somebody who's only got 5 or 10.
And you want to move up your close dates. Listen, you want to do some damage control. You want to tell everyone who's working on their book and on their pipeline, start pushing it closer. All right. If you can close them sooner than later. There's at least 2 loans of my personal, both purchases that are in that situation right now where we've moved them up.
And here's a question for Ronnie, because Ronnie's our broker. He's our broker of record, and we have to make sure we get everything through him. Would you think use and occupancy would be something that we would see come up? Because I know it's not something we advise people to get involved with, to live in a house that you're going to buy, because it could cause all these other problems. But talk to that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll probably see a lot of attorneys shy away from that just because of the unknown. The unknown is now, 100 times greater than it was 30 days ago. So to John's point, close the transaction. I don't care who you are, which side of it you are. And if you're the agent, you're not trying to close this transaction because you want money in your pocket. You want to close this transaction because you understand that the buyer or the seller that you work for, their transaction may fall apart next week, maybe even tomorrow. So John, great point. Close the transaction. Tell your buyers and sellers, same thing. Do not hold off. This is a great example, and I've already seen this personally already in the last 30 days, when people say, oh, but I don't have anywhere to go, and I don't want to be temporarily misplaced, and I don't. Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got a nice car, go live in it. I mean, yes, that's extreme. You guys know what I'm talking about.
You got family. You got
family. You got somewhere to go. You're not going to be living on the street. And trust me, if you don't do that, you are, or no, you may very well likely be a statistic of somebody who said, wow, I had a deal on my house and then it fell apart and I sold it for $50,000 less. Don't be that person. Get out.
Yeah.
To that point, to that statement you just made, do you foresee that may be a residual effect of this market, where a seller may have to sell for $50,000 less? Are you experiencing that right now?
Well, I personally did just get a contract that was in effect for a long period of time, and the buyer came back to the table because we put this deal together 4 or 5 months ago, and the buyer said, nah, I don't think so, $50,000 less. Legit, that's the number. So 52,000 to be exact. So it's real. These things are definitely going to happen. So
now, how does that seller feel? What is it? What kind of consult do you give that seller?
That number doesn't make sense for them anymore, and they're okay staying in their house. However, wouldn't they have been in a better position to take that deal 4, 5, 6 months ago, go live wherever? And today, can you imagine the power of them as a buyer today to say, I've got cash in hand, I have nothing to sell, I can do what I want, you want me? That's the point you try to make to them.
Yeah, good point. Yep.
Great point. Hey, I see Donna Nelson on here, as well as I think maybe Lisa Roberts. But if Donna has any kind of buyer challenge going on right now or question, if you want to throw it in the chat, we'd love to hear from you. Donna works with a tremendous amount of buyers. Last year, she did about 10 million closed volume. She works on a large team. Actually, she works on Ron and Bill's team. So if she has something, I just thought maybe. But if not,
She can unmute if she wants as well to ask it that way.
Yep, absolutely. And
I just figured out what the chat was. Now I see that. Oh, how nice. Very good. I see it now. And you got to stop calling people out. They're not going to come on anymore. We got to Oh, here, Donna Nelson. Hi, appraisal
I'm here,
issues.
guys, but I got myself my video off because I just did a exercise workout. And I'm not going on camera.
Okay, namaste. It's okay.
Oh, namaste. There you go. So yeah,
I
the
just didn't know. I
appraisal.
mean, my issues right now, basically, I've had a couple appraisal issues. I haven't had any issues yet with buyers that have had job situations, you know, where they had to take a downsize in their pay or anything like that. So the only issue that I've really had come up so far is appraisals.
Are we experiencing 10, 20, 30,000? What are we experiencing?
Well, I had one that was 35,000, matter of fact, with Ron, in which I actually challenged it, and they came up significantly, which was surprising. And when we agreed to a new price as well. So that ended up working out. So
Okay. I think Ron's taking us through the tour of his new home.
Yeah, I was how many times are you moving here?
I
So
love
let
it.
me,
I
let,
love
let
it.
me just,
Does he keep moving?
I got to put this out there for everybody, okay? Because this is ridiculous. I feel like I'm trapped in my own home. Number one,
Bar.
number one, I look like an absolute slob, and since I'm on Facebook Live, let me get this out there. At 12 o'clock midnight, I had to go to Pennsylvania to reenact a homicide with my sister. So I was there until whatever. I got home at 4:30 in the morning. I sat on the couch and said, I don't want to wake the rest of the world up. So I went to my dungeon basement. I live in this house for 2.5 months. And all of a sudden I said, geez, is that water? Oh, yes. There was a massive leak coming in my crawl space and it was raining. I shut my water down. I'm waiting for the plumber to come. So since yesterday, I've got about an hour and 15 minutes worth of sleep. When we first started this, I was in my kitchen. There's about 8 people living with me because of what's going on in our life. People came into the kitchen. I went into the basement. As I went into the basement, my battery was dying on my computer. Now I'm upstairs in my master bathroom. Enjoy the tour.
That's good stuff.
I love the black in there. I love the black. Well, I appreciate your commitment to making sure you were here today.
Wow.
But we think we have problems. I mean, listen, we're all going through something, right? So thank you for being so just sharing with that, because we know we've been praying for you and your family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up what Donna was just saying is Donna works with Ron, and Donna was saying, which is a great point, guys need to sharpen your axe on your negotiating skills, because when that $35,000 off of the price comes in from an appraisal that's issued, number one is what I heard is that buyer was that was their wish list. Hey, can I get 35,000 off? Just try it. And then the seller came back and they came up with a reasonable agreement. So if you aren't strong in negotiating, you may think that the sky is falling and the deal is dying. Please reach out to one of us on this call here, because we will talk you through how to keep that deal together. Because if you got to go remarket the house and find the next buyer, to Ronnie's point, is you may be looking at 50,000 off of the price instead of 35, Mr. Seller.
Yep.
So, yep, how is appraisals affecting refinancing and all that stuff? And we talked a little bit about that with Shiny. So, Matt, anything you'd like to add to that before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's good. John, Shiny, do you have anything that you want to close us with before we sign off?
No, just stay healthy, stay safe, keep do your part, and we're here. We're gonna obviously remain doing what we're doing. So
if I could also jump and give a shameless plug, John. I am in the middle of refinancing this bathroom right here, right now. So we're refinancing our house because we built new construction, and we're going through that process with John and Shiny at Harbor One. And I just wanted, again, no one has to say anything about their personal experiences, but I think it's important to do that, because then the rest of the world understands. You're not saying, hey, you should use John and Shiny because we know them. I'm in the process right now of using them. It has been phenomenal. Communication has been top notch. The underwriting team has been fantastic. The processing team, fantastic. It's been awesome. So I'll tell you right now, John knows, right? I asked, hey guys, this is my scenario, and everybody said the same thing, that for the product that John placed me in. It's a cash out refinance. Shiny was just talking about that earlier. It's a cash out refinance. It's a jumbo loan. It's an outrageous rate. So I just wanted to say thank you to these.
Thank you, buddy.
Because it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
that warms me up, man. That's good stuff. Can't get better than that.
No.
Ron, I don't care if you came on here with a full beard or I'm just happy to see your face. I'm glad to see you're doing
I'm
well.
happy to see
I
yours
love
too,
you.
MB.
And
Yeah.
I just got me all teary-eyed. My makeup looks good today, so don't do that to me.
I was gonna say that, Ron.
As my husband would say, the heat was on and his eyes got all like dried out or like they were itchy or something. Like,
Good stuff.
Matt, close us out.
Yeah. Well, thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming
Bye.
on. Thanks for all who watched, and we'll see you guys next Monday.
See you
same time.
guys. Yep.
Bye,
Sounds
guys.
good. Take
Thank
care.
you.
See you,
Bye.
Ronnie.
Bye,
Bye,
guys. Thank you.
Amanda. See you, Matt.
Bye.
Take care, guys.